Befriending everyone, blossoming around us, boldness of the brave, pushing aside an open mind to be like everyone. Build that better, bend down on bended knee, bear the brunt of all the burdens like broken ones should be. Build with blinded loyalty, back the better ones than you, for a better life beyond your freedom. Build back better for someone else.
Ladies, gentlemen, and genetic anomalies, what is happening? Hope you guys are having a good, fantastic day. I know we have a lot of crazy things going on in the political landscape in America today. Very, very, very massive news day today. So this should be fun to get to. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to hit all the topics that I wanted to. However, I will try to get to as many as I can. Oh, hold on. There was also that one. See, there's so much news today that I literally couldn't do all the show prep. There's still articles that I still need to grab because there was also the situation with the classified documents thing. Documents Trump. There was a situation with that whole case. I forgot to pull up that article for the show prep. Hold on, let me do this here. I wonder if there's a SCOTUS blog article about this actually. Let me see. I'm not sure that there is one. Hold on, Jack Smith, SCOTUS blog. Is there anything for that? I don't know if there is. Not seeing it here. But anyways, there we go. I've got the article there pulled up. Here, let me do this one. Now I don't know if I'll be able to actually get to the story, but I've queued up like at least half a dozen stories for me to get to. And what I'm going to do is just as I knock out stories, I'm going to, as I do streams, I'm going to knock out stories successively. So I have a whole lot of things that I can talk about throughout the course of this week. I plan on streaming a lot more than I usually do, just so that I can hit all of these topics that I want to talk about on stream, just because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in American politics. I have not had a chance to catch up to everything. And also I haven't been talking about it as much on the Discord. Like I've been talking a little bit more than usual, but just in general, I have not spoken a lot about what's been happening. That is a flub on my end, and I do apologize. I hope to pump up those numbers of political content so that I can provide, some quality stuff for you guys to watch as we all try to navigate this political election season. But without further ado, I think it's probably time to go ahead and get into the various segments that I have prepped up for this stream. So if you guys saw one of my recent videos, you guys saw that I recently spoke about the whole situation with Donald Trump getting nearly killed in an assassination attempt. We have more details now than we had before. Now, I'm not going to comb through everything because there is quite a lot of information that has since been discovered and exposed. But if I went through all that, it would take us all day. Honestly, I would recommend that you check out news sources like, AP News, CNN, look at all their live blogs, because in the live blogs, they literally store like all the information that has been found when it comes to this whole situation. I'm going to try and hit all of the high notes and the highlights. And there are certain things I'm not going to touch on just because they kind of lean into conspiratorial territory. And I think it's not really appropriate to go into all that, especially when the investigation is or the investigations are ongoing, and they're very, very early in the process of all that as well. But I missed 2 Joe Biden speeches. I actually did end up watching these, but I did want to react to these on stream and kind of talk about the rhetoric that Joe Biden used and just kind of go over them on stream. I figured since I reacted to the first Joe Biden speech that he gave, I might as well react to the other 2.
Good afternoon. Last night, I spoke with Donald Trump. I'm sincerely grateful that he's doing well and recovering, and we had a short but good conversation. Jill and I are keeping him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victim who was killed. He was a father. He was protecting his family from the bullets that were being fired, and he lost his life. God love him. We're also praying for the full recovery of those who were injured. And we're grateful to the Secret Service agents and other law enforcement agencies and individuals who risked their lives literally for our nation.
Oh, man. Okay, I got to run this back, but this guy cannot even read off a teleprompter for like 45 seconds without stuttering. This is bad.
And individuals who risked their lives literally for our nation. As I said last night, there is no place in America for this kind of violence, or any violence for that matter. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation, everything. It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen. Unity is the most elusive goal of all, but nothing is important than that right now, unity.
Nothing is more important.
We'll debate.
Come on, bro.
Disagree. That's not going to change. But we're going to not lose sight, in fact, who we are as Americans. Look, Vice President Harris and I were just briefed in the Situation Room by my Homeland Security team, including the Director of the FBI, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, the Director of the Secret Service, my Homeland Security Advisor, the National Security Advisor, and we're going to continue to be briefed. The FBI is leading this investigation, which is still in its early stages. We don't yet have any information about the motive of the shooter. We know who he is. I urge everyone, please, don't make assumptions about his motives or his affiliations. Let the FBI do their job and their partner agencies do their job. I'm instructed that this investigation be thorough and swift, and the investigators will have every resource they need to get this done. Look, as this investigation continues, here's what we're going to do. First, Mr. Trump, as a former president and nominee of the Republican Party, already receives a heightened level of security. And I've been consistent in my direction to the Secret Service to provide him with every resource, capability, and protective measure necessary to ensure his continued safety. Second, I've directed the head of the Secret Service to review all security measures for the Republican National Convention, which is scheduled to start tomorrow.
That's good. That's good.
And third, I've directed an independent review of the national security at yesterday's rally to assess exactly what happened. And we'll share the results of that independent review with the American people as well. And finally, I'll be speaking more about this tonight at greater length from the Oval Office. We must unite as one nation. We must unite as one nation to demonstrate who we are. Mm-hmm. And so may God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, he said some things here that I'm guessing he's not going to answer questions there because, it's a Joe Biden press conference. But, he's I liked a lot of the rhetoric that was there, even if he stuttered a few times. Even just trying to read off of a teleprompter, it's kind of embarrassing. But I did like a lot of the rhetoric that he used. It's very calming, and I think it's a marked departure from rhetoric from both his campaign as well as rhetoric from the mainstream media when it comes to speaking about Trump, speaking about people to the right. He didn't really strike much of a partisan balance. Now, there are a few things that he said that I disagreed with. I think the main thing that he said was you shouldn't speculate or make assumptions about his motives or affiliations. I think it's completely fine to make guesses about what his affiliations might have been, what his motives might have been. I think that's completely fine to do. You know, in America, like, we have freedom of speech and we have freedom of thought. We can literally decide whether or not we want to believe a particular conspiracy theory or not. Like, I have never demonized anyone for you know, thinking outside of the box necessarily. And there are all sorts of things about this shooting that definitely look very strange. Now, I do agree that you shouldn't necessarily jump to conclusions because we don't know all of the facts yet, but it's completely fine to have questions and be like, you know, oh, why were these Secret Service guards acting in this particular way? Why wasn't the shooter brought down from the roof? Why didn't local police respond? Why wasn't the area cleared? You know, various questions about what happened. They're completely fine to ask. It's completely fine to have speculation. So I don't necessarily like that sort of train of thought or questioning being demonized from the podium. Although I do understand it, because if you know, people get whipped up into frenzies, then things can get out of hand very quickly, depending on who the target of their ire is. So I sort of understand where he's coming from there with all of that. Now, he did give a longer. Also, I got to give Biden credit for this too. Is that he condemned political violence. I think it's very, very key. Generally, we have seen figureheads of major political movements condemn violence, at least mainstream political movements. Trump condemned violence before and after January 6th. Joe Biden rightly condemning it multiple times after the event here. We're also seeing the mainstream media condemn political violence. So it's very nice to see across the board people condemning political violence. Now, we do have some people who are sort of pointing fingers in various directions, saying, oh, no, you call for violence more than our team. No, our team doesn't call for violence. It's you. Like, so we have a little bit of childish antics going on when it comes to all of that. To be honest, these calls for violence kind of come from all sides of the political aisle. Now, when it comes to the mainstream news media, it is true that you see less justification for violence than you do from the right than you do on the left. Like, you're not going to see many justifications for violence on like Fox News, but you might see some here and there from CNN or especially MSNBC as you get into some of the opinion hosts, such as Joy Reid, for example. I don't know if she's explicitly called for violence, but it's people who are kind of like along that part of the political spectrum, who are the types of people on the left who would call for political violence. But it's generally sort of like outside of those chambers that you see more people calling for political violence, either on like the left or the right, on either like X or even like YouTube, Twitch, Kick, various platforms. And we'll get into all of that later. But I do appreciate at the very least the figureheads, which generally a lot of political ideologies trickle down from them, not entirely, and there are a lot of cultural differences and nuances in how what they say is interpreted by many people. But at the very least, I appreciate the fact that the people at the very top of all of these movements are saying no violence, violence is bad. Now, we do have a speech from the Oval Office that Joe Biden gave. This was 6 minutes long, so pretty long for a Joe Biden speech of this style. Let's see what he has to say here, because I only heard this one. I only heard once, so there might have been something.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics, and to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors. We're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're fellow Americans. We must stand together. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back, take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here.
One thing that was really cool, I thought, is that we saw this message shared by many churches as well. I thought that was really cool. Many churches, even if they didn't want to get political, I mean, there are many churches that like getting political, believe me, but of the ones that didn't, many of them also were just like, hey, yeah, like we should maybe take a little bit more time and stop and think before we speak and make sure that we're not, saying things that will either harm the political climate or harm brothers and sisters in Christ or other individuals. Just make sure that we speak with kindness and love and with accuracy rather than saying things that inflame. So it was nice to see that message trickle down on the following Sunday. I really liked seeing that.
Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke with him last night. I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was a husband, a father, a volunteer firefighter, a hero, sheltering his family from those bullets. We should all hold his family and all those injured in our prayers. Earlier today, I spoke about an ongoing investigation. We do not know the motive of the shooter yet. We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support, or if he communicated with anyone else. Law enforcement professionals, as I speak, are investigating those questions. Tonight, I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled it before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. Whether it's with members of...
Okay, one thing I thought was funny, to be fair, is him saying violence is never the answer. Like, America was started with a violent revolution. Now, does this mean that violence is justified today? And you can raise legitimate questions as to whether or not violence was justified, back then in the establishment of America. But violence can be an answer. It very rarely is the appropriate one, though. That's now. And maybe I'm expecting a little bit too much for my president of the United States to have, appropriate nuance. I think nuance is extremely important. I don't know if anyone watched Alex Garland's Alex Garland and A24's movie Civil War, and they were like, you know what? We should just leave the president alone. It's completely fine that he's airstriking American civilians. Like, no one is looking at that scenario and being like, yeah, no, maybe we should, protest in the streets. Like, no one's doing that. So, there are certainly some situations in which the violence is justified, but it's extremely rare, and it'd be very hard to find a case in which political violence of this style, especially, is justified, because there are so many other options and routes and ways that you can go with how you tackle disgruntlements, disagreements with political policy, all of that stuff, especially because despite what all of the blue and on Democrats want you to believe, democracy is still alive and well in America. So you could just vote, dude, for somebody who actually represents what you want to happen.
Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, or information and intimidation on election officials.
Oh, wait. There was this. Okay.
Or
one thing I didn't like.
Spouse of former violent mob.
One thing I didn't like about this is how he sort of lumped in the whole Nancy Pelosi thing into this whole litany of lists of political violence over the past 4 to 8 years, when it really didn't make sense, because as I understand it, now I could be wrong. Oh, wait, actually, no. Yeah, the whole Nancy Pelosi thing was didn't Nancy Pelosi's husband say it was like a friend or something? It was something weird where it was a friend and they were hanging out or whatever, but then they got into a fight. And then later, I think some sites were spun up that sort of were purporting to be written by him that were just I am a QAnon extremist. And so that was the narrative. But I don't think at the core that was political violence. But that doesn't mean it's justified. It's just that he is making a comparison between things that don't really connect in an effort to sort of make it seem like there are more violent attacks from right wingers against left wingers than what we actually see in reality. I don't think he brought up Black Lives Matter or Antifa, did he? I don't think he did.
Members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th.
Targeting in the shot? What does that mean?
Whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted in the shot.
Targeted in the shot? Huh.
Or
That's
a violent
new.
mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th. A brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Or information and intimidation on election officials. Or the kidnapping plot against the sitting governor.
It was mostly feds, but that was still bad.
Assassination on Donald Trump. There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high. I've said it many times that the choice in this election, we make in this election, is going to shape the future of America and the world for decades to come. I believe that with all my soul. I know that millions of my fellow Americans believe it as well. And some have a different...
He's still sick. He still has this... I want to know what is wrong with him. He seems genuinely sick. It's one thing you can crack jokes or whatever, but this is not funny anymore. This guy is sick. He has a chronic something, very persistent. He's got phlegm in his throat, in his lungs, nonstop, always coughing and speaking in these hushed tones whenever he's giving a public presentation. Someone needs to figure out what is going on with him, like what sickness or cold or whatever he has, like pneumonia, whatever this is, and give him some time to rest, give him antibiotics or whatever he needs so that he can get rid of that. Because every time I hear that cough, I get more and more worried. There's no reason you should have a cough that like a cold-ish type cough that lasts you like 6 months or however long that he's had this. Like, he had this during the State of the Union. That was like a month ago. And he's still not State of the Union. A presidential debate. Well, it was during the State of the Union too. But like, he's had this for way too long. It is shocking me that no one is talking about Joe Biden's cough. I am not voting for this man. I do not support him at all. I will give him credit where credit is due because I think it's very important. I think actually positive feedback is more important for the people you don't like than for the people that you do like. I'm voting for Trump in this general election. But however, I am worried about the health of this guy. This guy is old. It seems like he can barely walk. Sometimes he feels like he can barely remember what happened 3 seconds ago. And I don't want him to just like meet a premature end. I know he's already old, but I don't want him to meet a premature end because whoever's handlers are just running him down to the bone so that he can be president of the United States for whatever reason. I want him to be healthy. Let this man rest. He doesn't even, he probably should step down. I think that would probably help his health greatly, but he doesn't even need to do that. He can just like take 3 days off, sleep the entirety of those 3 days, and hopefully whatever's going on with his body will sort of like heal itself, and then he can keep on going. But it just feels like they're trying this man out. Now you can see why official Mike / the Angry Canadian in my Discord keeps on saying, oh man, the elder abuse, because this is just bad. It's just very hard to watch whenever he starts like coughing and stuff, and you see the signs of his age, especially when it just seems like he's sick and he's not being properly treated because, whoever is managing him cares more about getting him in front of cameras than getting him medical help.
I know that millions of my fellow Americans believe it as well. And some have a different view as to the direction our country should take. Disagreement is inevitable in American democracy. It's part of human nature. But politics must never be a literal battlefield, and God forbid, a killing field. I believe politics ought to be an arena for peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We stand for an America, not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace. All of us now face a time of testing as the election approaches. And the higher the stakes, the more fervent the passions become. This places an added burden on each of us to ensure that no matter how strong our convictions, we must never descend into violence. The Republican convention will start tomorrow. I have no doubt they'll criticize my record and offer their own vision for this country. I'll be traveling this week making the case for our record and the vision, my vision of the country, our vision. I'll continue to speak out strong.
Ooh, dude, this is time. It's time to hang up the hat, buddy. It's time to hang up the hat. You can't keep doing this. This is tough to watch.
For our democracy, stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. That's how we do it.
The battle box? It sounds like a kid's toy.
The battle box, not with bullets. The power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of a would-be assassin.
True.
The path forward through competing visions of the campaign should always be resolved peacefully, not through acts of violence. We're blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I believe that with every soul, every power of my being. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to make America, think about it. What's made America?
What? Oh, I thought he was going to say make America great again. Low-key, when I heard this originally, for the first time, I was like, he's going to say make America great again. It's going to be a show of unity. Some people are also wondering, is there going to be a We Are the World of political ads where Joe Biden and Donald Trump are sitting next to each other with holding hands or something? It'd be we are united, we are together, no more fighting, yay, unity, rah. Part of me would like to see something like that. It'd be a cool moment in American political history. It would be kind of goofy though and kind of silly, but it'd be fun to look at. It'd be fun to observe and experience.
So special. Here in America, everyone.
Literally, Trump's platform is Make America Great Again. Biden's platform is Make America Special Again. Take that, take that verbiage how you will.
Must be treated with dignity and respect, and hate must have no safe harbor. Here in America, we need to get out of our silos, where we only listen to those with whom we agree, where misinformation is rampant, where foreign actors fan the flames of our division to shape the outcomes consistent with their interests, not ours. Let's remember, here in America, while unity is the most elusive of all goals right now, nothing is more important for us now than standing together. We can do this. From the beginning, our founders understood the power of passion. So they created democracy that gave reason and balance a chance to prevail over brute force. That's the American we must be. An American democracy where arguments are made in good faith. An American democracy where the rule of law is respected. An American democracy where decency, dignity, fair play aren't just quaint notions, but living, breathing realities. We owe that to those who come before us, to those who gave their lives for this country. We owe that to ourselves. We owe it to our children and our grandchildren. Look, let's never lose sight of who we are. Let's remember we are the United States of who we are. Let's never lose sight of who we are. Let's remember we are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. God bless you all. And may God protect our troops.
Now, I guess this got review bombed basically. It's got a 27% like ratio, so that's not good. But I thought that speech wasn't too bad. There were a few qualms I had with it, but in general, I thought it wasn't that bad. But we do have some. Oh, also, before I get into this, I should actually read this here. So Donald Trump gave an exclusive interview with New York Post where he kind of talked about his experience. I think it's his first public speaking thing that he's done since he got shot. So here's what it says. A grateful and at times defiant Donald Trump told the Post Sunday he's, quote, supposed to be dead, end quote, as he recalled the harrowing moments a would-be assassin shot at him at a Pennsylvania campaign rally. The former president shared the, quote, very surreal experience, end quote, that nearly ended his life during an interview aboard his private plane en route to Milwaukee for the GOP National Convention. Quote, the doctor at the hospital said he never saw anything like this. He called it a miracle, end quote, said Trump, who was sporting a large, loose white bandage that covered his right ear. His staff insisted that no photos be taken. Interesting. Quote, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead, end quote, Trump said. Quote, I'm supposed to be dead. That is a shook Trump. Trump does not talk like that. That's a shook Trump. Now, I've been hearing some especially Christian conservative commentators wondering if this sort of event might humble Trump and sort of like get him to take Christianity more seriously, become more spiritual, become Christian, perhaps. Something similar did happen with Ronald Reagan, apparently, where he sort of like rededicated his life to Christ after a failed assassination attempt on him. I don't know if that's going to happen. We have to wait until the RNC speech tomorrow. It's tomorrow, I think, where he is speaking at the time that I'm recording this. But it is certainly something to see Donald Trump speaking with this tone and with this style. Let's continue reading here. He said he would be if he had not turned his head slightly to the right to read a chart on illegal immigrants. At that instant, what would have been a kill shot tore off a small piece of his ear and splattered blood on his forehead and cheek. Trump said that as Secret Service agents led him off stage, he still wanted to continue speaking to supporters, but the agents told him it wasn't safe and they had to get him to a hospital. That's fair. That's fair. He marveled at how the agents came flying in like, quote, linebackers. Now that's Trumpian language. As soon as the shooting started, and he unbuttoned his long sleeve white shirt to show a large bruise on his right forearm. He also cleared up the mystery about his shoes. On the video of the shooting and aftermath, as the burly agents tried to rush him off the stage for safety, he could be heard saying, "Wait, I want to get my shoes." As he explained in the interview, quote, the agents hit me so hard that my shoes fell off and my shoes are tight. He said with a smile. He commended the Secret Service personnel for their heroic actions and praised them for gunning down the shooter, who was perched on a roof about 130 yards from the stage where Trump was speaking. They took him out with one shot between the eyes, the former president said as he pointed it to the bridge of his nose. They did a fantastic job. It's surreal for all of us. Trump also addressed the incredible photo of him raising his fist and saying fights 3 times as the agents tried to get him off stage and into an armored SUV. A lot of people say it's the most iconic photo they've ever seen, Trump said. They're right, and I didn't die. Usually you have to die to have an iconic picture. This is true. Yeah, I just wanted to keep speaking, but I just got shot. Yeah. The doctor at the local hospital, which has a trauma center, said told him he's never seen anyone survive getting hit by an AR-15. Trump recalled. Oh, that's a cool. This is a cool diagram here. It says by luck or by God, many people are saying it's by God I'm still here. He said. By the way, it's not how a Christian would speak. So for the people who are like, oh, Trump's a Christian, I think that quote right there kind of shows us that he's not really a Christian. I don't think a Christian would be like, oh, I don't know if it was luck or if it was God or whatever. Some people are saying it's God, not me. Like, that's not a Christian take. Okay. That's not a Christian take. One man at the rally was shot and killed and 2 were wounded. Also that dude, he died protecting family members, dove in front of them and stuff, shielded them from the bullets that he ended up eating for himself. And I think Trump started a GoFundMe or something for his family that has reached at least $2.5 million. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. One man at the rally was shot and killed. The other 2 were wounded. Asked if he had given any thought to attending the funeral of Corey Comparatori, Oh yeah, that's the guy I was talking about. Corey Comparatori, the firefighter who died shielding his family from the killer's gunfire. Trump said yes. Then turning to aides standing behind him, he said, "Get the numbers. I want to go to the hospital and call all the families." Trump also praised the crowd at the rally, which he put at 55,000 people, for remaining calm. At a lot of places, especially soccer games, you hear a single shot, everybody runs. Here, there were many shots and they stayed. He added, "I love them. They are such great people." And then I think, is this Trump still? Okay, yeah, I think this is Trump still, so we'll keep reading. There's already some proof that, as Trump related, that this brush with death had changed his mind about the speech he will give on Thursday to accept his party's nomination for the third consecutive time. "I had all prepared an extremely tough speech, really good, all about the corruption, horrible administration," he said, but then suddenly added, "But I threw it away." Wow, he threw it away. So I wonder what he's going to say instead. I'm guessing it's going to be a completely different tone. He said, "The new speech is in the works because I want to try to unite our country." Folding his arms, he said, "But I don't know if that's possible. People are very divided." "Was it a matter of tone," I asked, "or were there policy changes he had in mind?" Policy differences, he suggested, are the stumbling block. Some people want open borders, some don't. Some men want to be able to play on women's sports teams. Sorry, others don't. Still, he said he remains convinced that success will unite the country, though he didn't otherwise define what that success will entail. I would guess like a strong economy, that type of stuff. He said he appreciated the call from President Biden calling it fine, and that Biden was very nice. He suggested, without offering specifics, that the campaign between them could be more civil from now on. He also said that we hear that Biden will order the Department of Justice to drop its 2 prosecutions of Trump. So far, there's no sign of that. Ooh, that's interesting with the news about the whole case about the what's it called? Those documents, the classified documents case being dropped. So interesting. The interview, which included Byron York of the Washington Examiner, lasted more than 30 minutes and concluded as the plane sat on the tarmac after landing in Milwaukee. I think that includes all the quotes then. Yeah. Wow. This is crazy. But we also do have some more news. And again, this is not everything. Go to like the AP or whatever and look up all of the facts about this. I'm just trying to show you guys the highlights. I don't have time to run through everything. But this is from NDTV World. It says here, Trump attacker rejected by school shooting club for being terrible shots. This actually happened. This is true. This is like the one part of this that's funny, especially considering that a lot of conspiracy theorists are out there saying that Thomas Matthew Crooks, who was the shooter, was like acting with some sort of deep state operatives or whatever to try and take out Donald Trump. There's no proof that he worked with anyone else. I think there is, in my opinion, from what I've seen, a curious case of incompetence so happening to coincide with this attack. Now, does this mean they were working together? No. It's possible that Thomas Crooks was working with someone, but we do not know that for sure. Yeah, just the idea that, if you're like part of like the deep state or whatever, you would pick someone who literally got rejected from a school like rifle club because you were so bad at shooting, they thought that you would be a danger to literally everyone else in the club. I feel like that's not the type of resume you pick up. You're like, why don't we go with a hunter instead, whose like wife just left him? Like, you know what I mean? Like you would think that they would go with someone else, other than someone who is just notorious for having a bad shot. So because of that, I don't think that this was a some sort of like coordinated deep state effort. But you never know. Crazier things have happened. Now, the latest news as of the time I'm recording this, the very latest news, is that the FBI has gained access to the guy's phone. Now, from what I've heard, the FBI gained access to the phone and there was like no information about the motive there. So, take that with as many grains of salt as you would like. But that's the word out right now. I think the official word from the FBI. So they're still, at least as far as the official record goes, on the hunt for the motive of the shooter. Now, again, I like to sort of talk about like why might these things have happened and sort of how we might avoid these things again. Now, in the previous video where I spoke about this, I actually did talk about how like the rhetoric was becoming more extreme and stuff, and people were sort of acting like Donald Trump is going to like end the country and all these sort of like crazy bombastic and extremist and inflammatory and divisive things. Now, one thing that was nice was to see the mainstream media sort of come together and say, you know what, we need to be united. And we kind of got a gesture of this where Morning Joe I think it just got pulled from, they got the day off. The Morning Joe and also it's a companion show, Way Too Early, were pulled from the schedule today. So, let's see. Yeah, they were pulled from the schedule. So, there were no opinion shows throughout the morning. I actually listened to MSNBC here and there throughout the day, and it wasn't just Morning Joe. It was like the entire opinion slate of the entire day, it seemed like. So no opinion stuff, just straight news, a breaking news format. It really helped that there was the RNC stuff, which they were able to just sit and cover in a more objective fashion. Of course, they were very biased in how they covered various things, like the pick of J.D. Vance as Trump's VP pick. But all in all, like, it was very like straight news. Like it was very cool to see them sort of like go to a more objective format like that. And I appreciate the fact that they're willing to sort of like let things breathe before kind of going back to their normal routines. Now, part of me wonders if behind the scenes, they're sort of scrambling and trying to figure out how they can go back to their political talk format while sort of like staying ahead of like the public values that they've espoused, which is political rhetoric has gone too far. People are being more extremist now. We need to find ways to cool things down. So that might be part of the calculus too. And hopefully we see what those changes are if changes end up being made in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing that. However, unfortunately, not everyone is on board with this agenda. And as a matter of fact, some people are getting even more extreme. We saw a lot of people on X and on TikTok cheering the shooter on, whining and complaining in the morning the fact that not only did he die, but he died without killing Donald Trump. But I think one of the most notable guys who's been sporting this rhetoric is this guy, Destiny, who he used to be my favorite leftist streamer until all of this stuff started happening, because I found him to be more first of all, he's fairly genuine. I think a lot of people on the left are bad faith and they're like performative. Destiny comes off as like neither for the most part. And so like, I enjoy watching his streams, especially because he's willing to call out people on both the left and the right, which not a whole lot of people are willing to do. If you are willing to call out people on both the left and the right, you get a lot of respect in my book. And so that's why I've been watching Destiny for several months, I think almost a year now. However, his rhetoric took a very, very dark turn in the advent of the shooting. And part of me can sort of understand this because he's kind of got like a blue and on brain where like if there's any conspiracy theory against Trump for the most part, unless like it's extremely outlandish, but like if there's any conspiracy theory, especially if it's something that sort of like the mainstream media has like parroted before, then Destiny probably believes it, right? So he probably believes that Destiny colluded with Russia to interfere in the 2016 election. He probably believes that he incited he led an insurrection or something with the whole like January 6th riots and that whole situation. He probably doesn't even believe that Donald Trump called for peace before and afterwards. He probably didn't believe that Trump made some sort of like made that video initially, tried to release it, but then it got blocked from Twitter because Twitter like banned him to keep him from speaking while his supporters were out there rioting. And they're just like those types of like conspiracy theories that Destiny sort of feeds into. I think that sort of like as a Democrat, whenever like he's generally very like reasonable until you bring up Trump, and then he gets like these like laser eyes, and he just like sort of like goes Super Saiyan and just like takes like the absolute least charitable position you possibly could on anything that Donald Trump says. Right? If Donald Trump says, oh, we should fight, then he instantly thinks that he's talking about violence, even though AOC and other Democrats, Joe Biden, have all used similar language because they're talking about what you're going to do politically, not what you're going to do physically. Most people understand that. Democrats just pretend not to understand that when Donald Trump is speaking to make him look bad. But it's those types of things where I was starting to like kind of like have question marks because the quality of his analysis was sort of degrading. And then sort of with the advent of the Trump immunity case, that was before SCOTUS, Destiny read the case, and I understand the complaints about the SCOTUS case because I read some portions of it too, and I was looking at it like, I don't know how I feel about that. But to be fair, I also am not sure if lawyers are going to read through these rulings in the same way that us plebeians would. So it's very possible that we're looking at this and seeing one thing, and then judges and lawyers and members of other courts are going to look at it and interpret things a different way. So I always try to leave some wiggle room there. I try not to be alarmist to be like, oh, democracy is over. But Destiny has no guardrails for himself, and so he just decides to go ham. This is the viral moment from, I think, his stream after the assassination attempt. This is what he said.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude. The firefighter guy. Fuck Trump.
The guy who was protecting his children, by the way, literally shielding them from bullets. A deranged psycho was shooting into the crowd.
The firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am. 100%.
It's crazy. Crazy. That he's like, yeah, bro, I'm going to be dancing on your grave if you die. An absolutely insane take. The exact opposite of what we need in this country right now. One thing that's cool to see is how soundly this dude is being condemned. I think people on the left and the people on the right are sort of like going after him and being like, man, you're crazy. Some people are like, you're no better than Hasanabi now, who is someone that you criticize for literally saying many of the very same types of things, right? Sort of like justifying like this style of violence. In fact, he's been railing against people who were making statements condoning violence against him. And now he's like, oh, if you do violence, I don't care, as long as it's against people that I don't like or people with opinions I don't like. Now, this is not the only time when he is like behaved poorly in regards to speaking about the whole situation when it comes to the guy who died defending his family members. There was this moment right here from his Reddit where Destiny literally, so he's talking to someone from his community, Dragon Reborn official, and this is what the fan says. The fan says, yeah, I gotta take a break from Destiny and his community. My friend's mom was right next to the guy who got killed. She was freaking the F out over what she experienced. I wouldn't be shocked if she was the person who you heard screaming, because if you watch the video, you hear like one woman just shrieking at like full volume, just like repeatedly. And I was like, it's interesting that only one person is screaming. So maybe it's her. I don't know. Yeah, she's still freaking out over what she experienced. It'll probably take her years to recover from and deal with what she went through if she ever does. This is sickening to see from some of y'all. Peace out, duders. And then we see Destiny there say, don't ever come back. Tell your friend and his mom to I don't know, get slapped, die. I don't know. Trying to think of a family friendly way to to put that there at the end. But yeah, just like very like hateful, a very hateful and heartless thing to say. Very cruel and mean. Something that like if there was a different context of like, you know, a similar type of, you know, politically a similar instance of political violence happened, but it was against someone else and it wasn't like associated with Trump or anything, like Destiny would probably be up in arms and literally doing like 1,000 debates about why what was said was wrong, because it's Trump, right? Trump must be Hitler. So, you know, it's fine if he dies and all of his followers are extinguished. It's for the greater good, right? For the greater good. Going all Bonhoeffer mode or something. But there were some tweets that he made as well, or X posts, Zeets, I suppose. That Drama Alert did, where they compiled sort of like the most hateful parts of Destiny's rhetoric here. So if I've offended anyone with my recent tweets, I'd like to make things right. DM me and I'll buy you front row seats to the next Trump rally. Basically, like saying, I hope you die, which is a horrendous thing to say. It says, a person in the crowd cheering for and supporting a traitor to his country caught astray. I'm so sad, please. It was like awful. All I see is Biden plus. So it's you discussing curse word. I cannot believe your rhetoric, I guess we'll say, right now. Posting a picture of the bloody bleachers where that dude died. And then Destiny says, all I see is Biden up +1 in Pennsylvania, which is like, I understand that it's actually slightly funny, but it's still completely inappropriate to say, especially this early. Like, bro, let the blood dry, please. Like, there are people who are still telling me in person that it's too soon for 9/11 jokes, and that happened 23 years ago. Like, give people some time, okay? Give people some time. Destiny here says this is the guy who got killed at the Trump rally and then just like bursting out laughing over text. Now this point is actually fair. I actually completely agree with this point. Conservatives, when the guy they wildly support who tried to lead an insurrection, well, I don't agree with that part, but like against the government, and then was granted absolute criminal immunity to save him from his federal cases, gets shot at. Actually, hold on, no, this is not the quote I was thinking of. There was one where he was pointing out hypocrisy, because there's some people on the right who do call for violence. Maybe it's this one right here. No, I don't know where it is, but like, he made some posts sort of like pointing out the hypocrisy from people on the right, calling for violence and then getting mad about this. Like, I completely agree with that. Too many people on the right just like turn it on a dime as soon as someone does something that they like disagree with or agree with, or change the type of positions of the type of rhetoric that can be used, which is crazy. Now, to be fair, the people who are like calling for that type of violence are like the more fringe types of people. They're not like mainstream right-wing conservatives. So that has to be taken into account. And also, to be fair, Destiny, while he's just an example, is also sort of on the fringes. He doesn't even really represent the left. He sort of is a free thinker. I still respect him for that, even though I'm like, yo, cheering on the death of Trump supporters because you don't like who they're voting for is clearly, you know, across the line. Like, you can't just be doing that. I still respect the fact that he is a free thinker and thinks for himself, which a lot of people don't really do on the internet. But this was just an awful display. There was this one post here. Oh, yo, it got deleted. Based, actually, I'm glad that got deleted, because there were like a whole bunch. I was literally trying to do my normal Oppo research that I do, where like it would show prep, really, basically, even though this is a stream, where I'll look up like, what happened here? Let me get all the relevant links and things to talk about this whole situation. I'll pull up all the articles so I can read them on the stream. I was doing that with Destiny, and his most vile Zeets, like, I could not find anywhere. Like, I went to his profile and they were all gone. This had to have been one of them, and I guess they were just removed for violating the X rules. So, but yeah, someone said, is this the hill you want to die on? So don't you mean the bleachers he wanted to die on? Which is like, I understand it's kind of funny, but like, bro, too early to be making fun of like the deaths of people for like literally saving people's lives. Like it's crazy to be making jokes like that, especially if like making fun of and mocking people for saving other people's lives. It's an insane thing to do. It's an insane thing to do. But this clip here has sort of been touting by the right as I wrap things up as a shining example of kind of Vivek shutting down this type of rhetoric here and kind of like pointing at what this political climate might end up leading to.
That has called a Republican president a tyrant.
Okay, let me go back.
That has called a Republican...
Bro, where is the rest of this? I could not find this full video. If anyone knows where I can find the full video of this, let me know. But I was like, man, where's the full video of this? But we'll just play it as it exists.
That has called a Republican president a tyrant, a dictator, said it would be the end of the United States of America as we know it, said he would make us a laughingstock on the global stage. And those are exact quotes, actually, of what they said about Abraham Lincoln. Saw the Lincoln hat. You might have wanted me to remember that.
Yo, bro. This guy, dude, I love how much this dude like knows about history. Now, to be fair, you could be lying because I'm not the biggest history buff. So whenever people are speaking about things that I don't understand, I just assume that they know what they're talking about more than me. But I love how this guy is able to bring up historical things that are relevant and connect them to what's happening today.
Stock on the global stage. And those are exact quotes, actually, of what they said about Abraham Lincoln. Saw the Lincoln hat. You might have wanted me to remember that. Those were words that the Democrat-led media said about the first ever Republican president before he was shot and assassinated in 1865. Wow. So think about that in the moment that we live in today. We came within, Lincoln actually spoke at this convention. It was at a Republican convention. It was at a state convention, Republican state convention, I think in 1858.
Wow.
When he said a house divided cannot stand. That was on the eve of a nation that was on the brink of civil war. That's right. I think we came within a hair's breadth of a second civil war in this country, and we avoided it. Yes. And I think it's because God intervened. And I believe that he has given us a chance to answer his call.
Amen.
And I think that's the moment we live in right now. Is the hard part is we are in a kind of war in this country.
Yeah.
But the enemy is not our fellow citizens.
No.
Actually. It is an ideology.
That's right.
And so this is the work we have cut out ahead of us, is how do we win this war while still viewing our neighbors as our fellow citizens and not as our enemy combatants? Are we up to that challenge? I believe we are.
What? This makes me so mad that he's not the GOP nominee, because like, man, we need a president who was going to like speak out and say stuff like this, like from the Oval Office, saying like, yo, like we need to take a breath and figure out who the real enemy is. It's not each other. We need to find ways to come together and use this opportunity, this rare, it is true sort of that God sort of intervened in this moment and kept Trump from dying for whatever reason that might be. I don't think that he's got some crazy anointment or anything, but God wants him alive for some sort of reason, and I ain't complaining. Like I'm voting for the dude. So as long as like God wants to use him clearly to some degree, for what we don't know, but you know, at the very least, God wants him alive, and so I'm kind of cool. I'm happy with that. But we also need to sort of be grateful for the fact that he allowed Trump to live and prevented, you know, a probably catastrophic situation for the nation, where it's very possible that Trump dies and then we literally get a civil war. That was a literal possibility. If you watch the video, people there at the rally were blaming the media for Trump's death even before they knew that he was alive. Actually, if they found out that Trump actually died, and then they were like, media, you did this because you egged on people on the left, And then there was violence between the Trump supporters and then the media, and then people getting in between that. That would cause an actual large-scale violent conflict. That's not what we want. And so sort of like we need more rhetoric like this of people trying to like, bring us down from the ledge. Not people acting all psycho like Destiny, acting as if he's about to like push as many people who are voting against his favorite political candidate off the edge of the cliff as possible. But like unifying messaging to like come together, and not just come together for no reason so that there's no fighting anymore. Come together so that we can find common ground and then solutions for how to make the country better together rather than fighting each other. And especially with like the force and the cadence with which he did it. Not like, I think that political violence is never the answer. Like, no. That's just literal weakness. So hopefully someday Vivek Ramaswamy gets a shot at the presidency. I hope so. But that's pretty much all I got for today. Well, it's not all that I got for today. I have so much more for today, but I'm busy. I got other stuff that I got going on. And yeah, so later on this week, I'll do another stream. I have so many things to talk about. We've got J.D. Vance becoming picked as the VP candidate for Trump, running on the ticket alongside him. There was the whole Nancy Pelosi interview that I wanted to react to because she said some very interesting things about Joe Biden's position on the Democratic ticket. There's like YouTuber and streamer drama that I wanted to talk about because there was the whole sketch thing. That was crazy. There was Myth apparently quitting streaming and gaming. That also is crazy. There were like some other viral clips that I wanted to talk about. There was the whole classified documents case that got dropped. I wanted to talk about that whole situation too. There's so much, and I think you guys are actually starting to send stuff into the reaction requests. So like, I have an abundance of content to talk about in future streams, but unfortunately I have not time. So until then, peace out, y'all.
Build back better, bend down on bended knee. Ooh, yeah. Bear the brunt of all the burdens, like broken ones should be. Build with blinded loyalty, back the better ones than you, for a better life beyond your freedom.